Her father, manipulative, conniving, treacherous, horrible person, okay? And he was the Pope. Her brother, a murderer. Her name, Lucrezia Borgia, okay? That's who we're talking about today. I'm sick. Small announcement. Well, not announcement, but like apology. I know I said I was gonna post last Monday and Friday, and I didn't. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I mean, I was just feeling lazy. Can you blame me? I mean, yes, you can, but like, why would you? Why would you? And I'm sick too. Like, please have some mercy. God damn it. Okay, so Lucrezia was born in Italy, in the city of Subiaco, on April 18th, 1480. Okay, she was one of the four illegitimate kids or children of Vanosa de Catanei and Rodrigo Borgia, who was her dad. Rodrigo Borgia at that time was a cardinal. You know those, are they priests? No, they're cardinals. Hold on, God damn it. So he was a cardinal. You know those people in the Vatican that wear like red? All red? Yeah, he was one of those. He was one of them. I know that sounds crazy. Well, it doesn't sound crazy yet, but it's about to. Now, Rodrigo Borgia, her father, was well known for his political practices and his corrupt ways, okay? And trust me, when you have a dad, you don't want people to know that your dad is corrupt. Oh, I mean, gosh, sometimes being fatherless is not that bad. I'm not trauma dumping, by the way. Maybe I am, a little. This was all types of messed up because, well, I don't know if you know, because I didn't know, but cardinals and popes and just like priests in general in Catholic religion are not allowed to have any sexual relationships. There's a strict rule of celibacy. Celibacy is very important. When it comes to celibacy, it just means you can't have sex. You can't have a wife. You can't have anything that has anything to do with sex. Stay away from it. It's bad. Now, I don't know if you can understand, but he's not supposed to have any type of kids or a mistress for that matter. So this is messed up already. Okay? Because if you are supposed to be celibate, where do the kids come from? What did you do, Rodrigo? What's going on? He was definitely not taking that cardinal job seriously, if you know what I mean. And it's not only that, like, I mean, maybe I would have understood if it's like one time, but like this guy had 4 kids. 4, not 1, not 2, 4. Which means he did it 4 times. I mean, this guy was not taking his job seriously at all. And I'm over here going to work every damn day, following all the rules, and I still can't get a raise. Ugh. And listen, I don't want to be that person, you know, that person. But isn't there supposed to be some kind of punishment for stuff like this? Like, I don't know, excommunication, right? Is it just me? Okay, fine, just me? Okay. And you might be thinking, you know, how did he get away with this? How did he get away with having so many children and nobody found out? Let me tell you, babe, he lied. You know, he did what all men do, lie. Oh my God, who hurt me? Let me stop. So he would refer to his kids as his nieces. And I guess when you think about it, it's kind of smart. So to anyone concerned, or to anyone that knew Rodrigo Borgia, he didn't have any kids. Oh, those kids, no. They're my sweet little nieces. I love them as if they were my own. Oh my God, why, bro? I just, men. Am I right? Men. And if you think that's not bad enough, oh baby, you're about to be shocked because this gets worse. In 1492, I don't know how, I don't know why, but Rodrigo Borgia gets elected as the Pope. The Pope! Like, he wasn't even taking his cardinal job seriously to begin with, okay? This man had a whole tribe of kids. Well, they were just 4, but kids that was absolutely not allowed. And now he's the Pope. Y'all are gonna make him the Pope? Was no one asking questions? Was no one worried about, I don't know, doing research on who's gonna be the Pope? Like, just making sure that, hey, you know, maybe let's try to elect someone that doesn't have issues. Hello, what's going on in there? What's going on? Please, someone, what's going on? If I'm not wrong, it's like a vote, right? Who voted for him? Who elected this man? How much did they pay you? How much? I just want to know. I mean, they let this man become the most holiest and richest man in Rome. A liar, a manipulator, and a conniving man, and y'all made him the Pope. Oh my God. Rodrigo becoming the Pope marked a significant turning point for the Borgia family. This granted them unprecedented power and influence. From the second Lucrezia Borgia entered the world as a baby, I feel like her life was already planned out for her, or they already had like something meant for her. Like they were just waiting like, oh my God, she's a girl. We can finally use her to our advantage. That's kind of what I'm thinking about, because honestly, everything that goes on in this story kind of gives me that vibe. As if that was not like, hard enough, her father's papacy was just marked by corruption and manipulation and scandal and drama and just treachery, and she was involved in all of that. Like she was just tangled up in it. Even if you don't want to be involved in it, it's just like people already involve you in it. It doesn't matter if you're like the nicest, sweetest person. If they know that your family is treacherous, you're gonna be called treacherous. You are treacherous by default, because it's like, that's your family. You expect us to think that you're not treacherous? So, like I said before, Lucrezia was one of 4. So, her siblings included Cesare Borgia, Giovanni Borgia, and Geoffrey Borgia. Okay, I won't really be talking about Giovanni or Geoffrey Borgia, but you definitely will be hearing about Cesare Borgia, and I'm not gonna go into detail about what he does or whatever goes on with him, because he's just a piece of work. Okay, I think he deserves an episode for himself, because the things this man does is just... So, Lucrezia's mother, Vanosa de Catanei, I believe she was a strong figure or influence in Lucrezia's life. I mean, she's her mother, duh. But apart from that, she really played a vital role in Lucrezia's upbringing. I mean, Vanosa ensured, or like just made sure that Lucrezia was very well educated. Yeah, she just made sure that her daughter was very well prepared in any sense of the way. She learned arts, she spoke multiple languages, she did music, she learned some things about like politics, and it was great. I mean, it definitely helped her for whatever she was gonna face in the future that obviously she had no idea, but thank God for Vanosa, Thank God for moms. What would you do without them? So growing up, Lucrezia was said to be very, very beautiful. They specifically mentioned her teeth, her pearly whites, because yes, having white teeth back then wasn't that common. They also said she was very smart, charming, just a well-rounded lady, Lucrezia's early years were spent in the sophisticated courts of Italy, particularly in Rome, and later in the Vatican as her father became the Pope. One thing was true. Lucrezia was definitely seen as a valuable asset to her family. And when I say valuable asset, I don't mean like, oh my God, our daughter is so educated, she's a well-rounded lady. No. They were like, oh, we can use her to get more land, more money, more alliances. And how are we gonna do that? By marrying her off to random man. Exactly, yes, absolutely, because that's all women are for. As a child, Lucrezia Borgia was engaged multiple times, but they never went through with it. Like all the engagements eventually fell through. I'm not really sure why. At the very young age of 13, and in the year of 1493, they finally were able to get her engaged to this man called Giovanni Sforza. Giovanni Sforza was a lord of Pesaro in Italy. And basically the marriage was just designed to fortify the alliances between the Borgia family and the Sforza family. Unfortunately, from the beginning, the marriage wasn't like characterized by, being romantic and full of love. On the contrary, historical accounts mention that Giovanni Sforza was more, interested in his political ambitions than in being in any type of relationship with Lucrezia. She was kind of like a trophy wife, if you could say that. Like, he really just didn't care about her. And obviously there was, a lack of emotional connection in the relationship. There were multiple allegations of abuse and violence. And it's a bit challenging to know the nature of this, or like if like what exactly was going on. But I don't know if you've watched this show. I think it was on Netflix, but it's called The Borgias. Have you watched it? Have you watched it? It was really good. It was really good. They never finished it. I hate when they do that, but it was really good. And in this show, the first marriage with Giovanni Sforza, like, they portrayed him as, this evil man. And it kind of gives you an idea on, what was going on in there. There's really no way of for sure knowing, but I'm pretty sure maybe that's really how it was going. And he was just as evil as he seemed in the movie or in the series. And if that's how it was, then, oh my God, thank God she got away, because he was absolutely horrible. There are indications that Giovanni Sforza definitely showed signs of being controlling. Some accounts actually suggest that he was jealous, violent, and possessive. Not a good combination, baby. Not at all. So, in 1997, their marriage was annulled, just 4 years after getting married. Back then, it was really hard to get a marriage annulled. Like, it was just really hard to get out of a marriage. There was no such thing as divorce. So Lucrezia claimed that her wedding or her marriage to Giovanni Sforza was never consummated. There's really no clear answer on why or what exactly she said, or what were the reasons that she mentioned for the wedding not being consummated. So I'm sure Giovanni Sforza did not like this at all, but nobody cares about what he thinks, because obviously they gave the annulment to Lucrezia. She got her annulment. I don't know if it's because she was the Pope's daughter, or maybe it's because she was the Pope's daughter, but you go, girl. Not only did saying that the marriage was never consummated allowed her to get out of the marriage, but it also allowed her to leave that marriage with no scandal and still be able to marry or remarry someone in the future. So it was perfect. Giovanni continued living his life until he unexpectedly died of, I don't know, he just died. Next. Now, for Lucrezia Borgia, being a newly single woman out there unfortunately just meant that she was free for her father to use her again for his political ambitions. Yeah, and we all know that what that means. Or if you don't know, that just means he's getting her married again. Oh God. I'm so glad I was born in this year, because I would honestly crash out if my parents thought they could make me marry a bunch of random dudes just because they're giving them 50 cows or $100. I would be so pissed. So during this time, around March 1948, it's said that Lucrezia Borgia gave birth to a baby boy, and she named him Giovanni Borgia. Now, it's not what you think. This is not Giovanni Sforza's son, okay? No. The whole time, Giovanni Sforza didn't even know that baby existed, okay? That baby was not him. You are not the father. That was not him. Just an affair between Lucrezia and this mysterious man that we'll never know. But in the movie, in the series, it's the stable boy. We don't know. In real life, we don't know. But in the series, yeah. And oh my God, was his name Pablo or whatever? So sweet. Okay, so sweet. I don't know why they had to kill him. Okay, so after some time, Lucrezia's father, Rodrigo, the Pope, he was like, listen, babe, it's time for you to start working, okay? You gotta get married. We need money. We need power. We need alliances. What are you doing? And I'm guessing he couldn't really get her married while she was pregnant. So he kind of waited for a while, but then the baby's out. It's time to get back to work. So in order for the Pope, Rodrigo, to strengthen his ties with Naples, he arranged a marriage tie between the Borgia family and the royal family of Aragon. So her second husband is called Alfonso of Aragon, or Alfonso de Aragon. Lucrezia and Alfonso were married in the Vatican on July 21st of 1498. The fun fact, though, is that these two, Alfonso and Borgia, Lucrezia Borgia, they were never supposed to be together. Never even supposed to be married in the first place, because the initial plan was actually for her brother, Cesare Borgia. Remember Cesare? Yes, I'm bringing him back. Cesare Borgia was actually supposed to marry Princess Carlotta of Naples. Okay, he was supposed to marry Princess Carlotta. But there was an issue. Princess Carlotta did not want to marry Cesare Borgia, and to that I say amen. I just want to say she made the right decision, because this man is toxic. He is the worst. Just go, girl. I'm so glad you decided not to do that. But that made Rodrigo, the Pope, Lucrezia's father, that made him so mad. Okay, because he was like, we had a deal. What is going on? So naturally, since the Pope was mad, and it's like, you don't want to make the Pope mad, you know, King Frederick of Naples decided to just make a match between Lucrezia Borgia and Alfonso de Aragon. And at that time, Lucrezia Borgia was 18 years old and her husband, Alfonso, was 17 years old. So initially, like all marriages in the past, it was politically motivated. But there's actually indications that Lucrezia Borgia actually liked Alfonso. Alfonso was considered to be very attractive and also of royal lineage. So it's like, can you blame her? Handsome back then is not the same as handsome now. So, I don't know. As the marriage progressed, tensions between Lucrezia Borgia and Alfonso began to arise. And why, you might ask? Because, you know, it started off pretty good, you know? We thought she liked him. What's going on? Alfonso started exhibiting signs of jealousy. It was jealousy towards Lucrezia Borgia and the relationship that she had with her brother, Cesare Borgia. And you could be like, okay, what's wrong about a sister, you know, having a relationship with her brother? Like, duh, they're siblings. Of course, they're going to have a relationship, but not that type of relationship, okay? They were giving Sweet Home Alabama. They were giving incest. And he was looking at it and he was like, I don't like that. He was like, I don't like that very much. And mind you, this was not just creating things in his brain, okay? Like, there were actual rumors going around about Cesare Borgia and Lucrezia Borgia. And the rumors were saying that Lucrezia Borgia and Cesare Borgia were a bit too close for siblings. It was giving more than siblings vibes. It was giving vibes it wasn't supposed to give. Yes, honey, the people were saying it was giving incest. I know, the scandal. I don't want to be on anyone's side because I have no idea. We have no records. We don't know anything. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh yeah, they were doing incest, because I don't know. It's just out there in history. I guess we'll never find out. But I'm not going to stay here and say that they weren't either, because I don't know. Anyway, so back to the story, right? Back to Alfonso. This was creating some type of jealousy for him, because it's like, why are you so close with your brother? You're my wife. Why are you, you know? I don't know. The relationship started going down south. Of course, because of all the jealousy and all the rumors, there was no trust. It was just, you know, it was just too much, and the relationship was suffering. It says that Alfonso started becoming a bit possessive and like controlling, and it's just like history repeating itself. It's like, can you guys leave my girl alone? And I mean, poor Lucrezia, she just keeps meeting these jealous, possessive, controlling men. Well, it's not her. Her father just keeps bringing these men into her life. Like, Although they were having all these problems, they did have a son together called Rodrigo. And, you know, unfortunately for Alfonso, the Pope, Rodrigo, Lucrezia's father, and her brother, Cesare Borgia, ended up making a new alliance. And do you know what this means? Because this is not good for Alfonso. It's not good for Lucrezia either, but it's not good for Alfonso. The Pope and Cesare Borgia making an alliance could only mean one thing. It meant there was a new man for Lucrezia to marry, right? Cool. But if there's a new man for her to marry, that means whoever she's with right now gotta go. Are you picking up what I'm dropping? And when I mean Alfonso had to go, I don't mean like, oh, thank you, Alfonso, so much for, taking Lucrezia and marrying her, but we won't need your services anymore. No, no, no. When I mean Alfonso had to go, I mean he had to... they were trying to take my boy out. So on the evening of July 15th in the year 1500, at the top of the stairs, like right here, before the entrance of St. Peter's Basilica, Alfonso was coming out, right? And he had his man with him or whatever, but he was just going down the stairs, right? And out of nowhere, while he's going down the stairs, just minding his business, a group of men comes and starts beating him up and like stabbing him. And he's just like, what's that? I mean, they stabbed him in the arm, the head, the leg. Oh my God. And as if that wasn't enough, after stabbing him, they were like trying to take him with them. Like, Alfonso's men, they started coming downstairs and they started chasing them away. So they were like, fuck, we can't take him. So they left him there. And Alfonso's men, took him back home so that he could get cured. At this time, he was still alive. Still alive. Okay, one small thing. I don't mean to be that person, but it's like, where were his guards? Where were his men when he was getting stabbed? Were they in on it? Because why did you only come whenever he got stabbed after like 3 times? Where were you this whole time? And I thought guards were supposed to be around you. Like, how did he even get stabbed in the first place? People need to get fired. That's what I think. So, Alfonso was taken to the tower where he was, taken care of by the doctors that they had in Naples. His sister was there, and Lucrezia Borgia, his wife, was there as well. And they were just taking care of him, Alfonso was, resting, trying to recover from his wounds. And out of nowhere, I'm telling you, out of nowhere, a man named Michelato Corella and a group of men walked into his chambers. Okay, listen, this is what I keep saying. Where are the guards? Aren't there supposed to be guards outside the doors? Like, how are these men just walking into his If you ask me, they were in on it. They were all in on it, because how is it possible that this man is just unprotected at every single time? Hello, they just tried to kill him. How is he left alone? Not my business, not my husband. Anyways, Michelato and the group of men, they walked into the room and they strangled Alfonso until he was dead. And then they left him on the bed. They literally came back for seconds. I mean, stabbing him 3 times was not enough. Like, whoever wanted him dead that same day. I mean, poor Alfonso. He died, strangled in his bed. Cesare Borgia, yeah. They're saying that he planned it. And you know what? I believe it. I believe it too, because it's like they needed Alfonso out of the way. And so, and also maybe Cesare was also mad at him for thinking that him and his sister are having an incestuous relationship. And he was like, who does this guy think he is? I'm gonna take him out. And that's what he did. I think Cesare did it, because who else would do it? Regardless of who did it, my boy was gone. So, next. So now Lucrezia is a widower, thanks to her family. Unfortunately, with all of this going on and just like, her husband getting murdered and everything, it just got stuck to her, okay? So basically people were blaming her and just saying like, oh my God, it's her fault. She had something to do with it. She probably had nothing to do with the assassination or anything like that, but it's just like, they blamed her. They blamed her anyways, because this isn't the end for Lucrezia Borgia. Now that she was a widow and she wasn't anyone's wife, she became available to be used as a pawn by her family for one last time. Yeah. And just like that, her marriage to her third husband, Alfonso d'Este, was arranged in 1501. Alfonso, her new husband, was actually a member of the Este family. And the Este family was actually a prominent family, a prominent noble family. The d'Este family normally ruled in Ferrara, like the Duchy of Ferrara. And her new husband, Alfonso d'Este, was very well educated, and he was also a patron of the arts. A very classy, elegant man, if you will. He was a man of culture. And again, this marriage was arranged for political reasons. It was meant to strengthen the ties and the influence of the Borgia family. That's literally the only reason why her father would put her in a marriage with this man, nothing else. Obviously, the marriage initially faced a lot of challenges. It was mainly because Alfonso d'Este kind of was like, not scared, but more like sketched out. He was like, they killed your last husband. Like, who's gonna say that they're not gonna come kill me? Am I next? Are they gonna try to kill me too? He wasn't scared or anything, but he was just like, am I gonna be next? Should I be worried? And that created a bit of problems in the relationship, because it's like, it would be like Lucrezia being like, okay, you know, like I had nothing to do with it, you know, and he's just like, okay, but your husband is dead. Lots and lots of rumors saying that Lucrezia was involved in, you know, the murder of her husband, and it also that she was just as manipulative and conniving as all of her family. The rumors just followed her everywhere she went, and I just feel kind of bad because I feel like maybe she didn't do anything. You know, it was just her family, and she was just carrying these rumors about her, and it had absolutely nothing to do with her. That poor girl. And you know what? Can you blame Alfonso? If I was a man, I wouldn't want to be married to her either. Like, I don't want to end up in the Italian newspapers. Like, girl, stay away from me. I don't know why, but I do understand where he's coming from. Like, I understand why he would be kind of sketched out and like a little like, honestly, I would have been like, you know, so you're sure your brother doesn't want to kill me? Because, you know, I can leave. I can leave. Like, whenever he finds a new match, just let me know. I can leave peacefully. No need to murder me. Okay? Just relay the message. But, you know, despite the initial tensions that the relationship was having, Lucrezia Borgia and Alfonso d'Este ended up creating, you know, this really strong bond and just having this, you know, really nice, healthy relationship. I mean, their marriage became one of mutual respect and lots of affection, which I think is great, because I feel like after everything she's been through, she really needed something like that. She just needed to be loved and respected and just be in a great relationship. Alfonso was known to be very supportive of Lucrezia with whatever she, you know, wanted to do, and they had a relatively happy and, you know, peaceful, healthy relationship compared to her previous relationships, you know, her previous marriages. It's said that Lucrezia became a patron of the arts as well. Remember I told you her husband was a patron of the arts and he just loved art and culture and whatever. She became one too. During her time as the Duchess of Ferrara, she contributed to bringing a lot of cultural diversity into the court, and she commissioned multiple paintings. She worked with a lot of intellectuals. It was said that the court of Ferrara flourished under her rule, and it kind of reflected the ideals of the Renaissance. Give me a second, I'm gonna be playing around with eyeliner and I'm not trying to poke my eyes, so I'll be back. So after Pope Alexander VI died, Pope Alexander was the name that was given to Rodrigo Borgia, Lucrezia's father. So once he died in 1503, the Borgia family's power and influence began to wane. And that's mainly because he was really the main source of it. I don't know how to explain it, but you know, it was the power and the influence was all because of him. Now that their father wasn't the Pope anymore, it's kind of like the power and the influence and, you know, the ambition and everything, the alliances, it kind of all died with him. As the Duchess of Ferrara, Lucrezia played a very active role in the political affairs of her husband's realm. You know, she was very involved. In total, Lucrezia had about 7 to 8 kids. I'm not quite sure which one. In total, she did have 17 pregnancies. Out of the 17 pregnancies, only 10 resulted alive. So first, I don't know if you remember, but I did mention her first baby ever, who was Giovanni Borgia. That was her illegitimate son with, you know, this mysterious man that she met at her first husband's home. Then, you know, I mentioned Rodrigo of Aragon, who was her second child with her second husband, Alfonso de Aragon. Then you have Ercole d'Este, who was the child she had with Alfonso d'Este, her third husband. Then they also had Ippolito d'Este with the same husband. And They also had Leonora d'Este and Francesca d'Este. They also had, they were supposed to have this baby called Isabella Maria d'Este, but unfortunately, baby Isabella, she just didn't make it. So what happened to Lucrezia Borgia? Did she ever end up escaping the shadows of her family's reputation? Well, the answer is not really. In 1512, Lucrezia ended up withdrawing from public life and she turned to religion. It is speculated that her withdrawal from public life was actually due to her receiving the news that her second son, Rodrigo, that she had with Alfonso de Aragon, had died. And, I guess that really affected her to the point where she just wanted to have a different life, or she just didn't want to be in the public anymore, in the public eye anymore. Grief can do that to you sometimes. People grieve in different ways, and maybe her way was just, stepping away from everything. So Lucrezia died on June 24th of 1519. She was really young. She was actually 39 when she died. It was said that she passed away from a difficult childbirth. So remember, I mentioned all her kids, but the last one, Isabella Maria d'Este, the baby that didn't make it at childbirth, the baby died first on June 4th, 1519. And after a couple days, Lucrezia Borgia died as well. Lucrezia died on June 24th of the year 1519. During pregnancy, Lucrezia became very, very weak. After giving birth, it kind of seemed like she was recovering and she was getting better, but it quickly got worse after a couple days. She ended up passing away from sepsis, and she was ultimately buried in the convent of Corpus Domini. Lucrezia Borgia's death marked an end to the Borgia family legacy. Unfortunately, Lucrezia has primarily been remembered as a member of the scandalous Borgia family, the daughter of the corrupt and scheming Pope, the sister of the more than likely murderous Cesare Borgia. And rumors of her incestuous relationship with her brother, which, by the way, no one knows if it's true or not. Her having a baby by this mysterious man, her second husband getting murdered by assassins mysteriously, and her attending the Chestnut Banquet, which, by the way, was a party hosted by her brother, where 50 ladies of the night attended, and so many members of the clergy were in there. It was crazy. Events that happened in her life have just chased her throughout her whole entire life, and she has not been able to get away from these things. As time passed, historians actually started to reassess her life, and as they did that, they kind of realized that rather than just being a pawn to her father's ambition and his scheming plans, they realized that Lucrezia was just, a victim. They realized that Lucrezia Borgia was this complex figure that was navigating a male-dominated world, and that actually she was very resilient and very, very intelligent, which by now I'm pretty sure you guys have noticed already. She was a very smart woman. Lucrezia Borgia's life is an intriguing tale of scandal, drama, and just survival, honestly. In my opinion, she remains one of the most complex and misunderstood figures of the Renaissance era. And that, my friends, is the story of Lucrezia Borgia. I'm so sorry I disappeared again, but it's as you know, I can't do my lipstick, I can't do my liner, I can't do anything on camera, and I was struggling with these two lashes, and it looks horrendous. It might not look like that on camera, but please. Before I end this video, I would like to ask you a couple questions. So what do you think? Do you think Lucrezia Borgia was actually involved in all of her family's, conniving plans, treacherous plans, or was she actually a victim? Personally, I think she was a victim. Her family was just awful. And by family, I mean her father and her brothers. Yeah, because I think her mom was great. And also, do you think she had an incestuous relationship with her brother? Was it Sweet Home Alabama, or was it just, siblings that are just really, really close? What do you think? I think it was just siblings that, were really, really close. I don't want to go there. I don't want to go the route of Sweet Home Alabama. I just really feel like they had such a great connection, and they were just really, really close. And that's why to the outside, it kind of looked like, something was going on, but nothing was really going on. I don't know. And also you got to realize that most of Italy hated these two. Not these two, but they hated the family. So what if it was just kind of like a rumor that people started just because they hated them so much? Have you ever thought of that? I mean, I would love to know your arguments and your opinions, Comment down below. I want to know what you think. Seriously. Anyways, now that we have all of that, done, let me tell you what we're talking about on Monday, okay? On Monday, we will be diving into the life of Ivan the Terrible. I think this is the first story involving a male character or a male historical figure that I'm doing, because I've been doing women since I started, but this is gonna be the first man. Ivan the Terrible, baby, history's worst crash out. We're talking about him on Monday. Trust me, you do not want to miss his story, okay? When I say he was the biggest crash out, I mean it. And if you know what a crash out looks like, you haven't seen anything. You haven't seen Ivan? He was a crash out. Seriously. Oh my gosh. Anyways, if you've reached till the end of this video, I just wanted to say thank you so much for staying with me and learning about the life of Lucrezia Borgia. I just wanted to wish you a happy day. Be safe. Bye.